Welcome to part 3 of our 4-part mini-series on the Toyota Corolla hatchback. As you can see, we're here at the racetrack to see just how much quicker it goes after that last round of modifications we gave it. If you've already watched parts 1 and 2 of this mini-series, then you'll already know that we took what was a bone stock 2020 Corolla hatchback. This is the XSE model, top of the line, and added a few modifications to it to try to improve its performance here at the racetrack and make it more fun on the street as well. At least that's our hope. And as you would have seen in episode 2, we equipped it with a set of RSR coilovers, which has lowered it quite a bit and should reduce body roll by adding more spring rate and dampers to match. We've equipped it with those very nice gold Volk TE37 SLs and wrapped them in 255 Continental Extreme Compact Sport tires, which should add grip and has also added a fair bit of section width. The stock tires are 225s by comparison. We've upgraded the front brake pads to Hawk HPS 5.0s, so that should give us more initial bite and better longevity out here on the racetrack. Bigger temperature control range on that pad versus the OE pad. And of course, Pete put a louder exhaust on the rear. We basically just removed the muffler section, put a straight through muffler in the back, which has added a nice bit of sound, but it's very subtle. I think it's given it a nice deeper tone, but it's by no means boomy or droney. It's actually very subtle, so it's, I think, quite a nice upgrade on the car. And of course, we've done that lip kit from Auto-Tuned. Is that what they're called, Pete? Auto-Tuned out of California. They make this, I guess it's a 3-piece kit, front lip, side skirts, and some rear lip as well. Really gives the car a little added style. And of course, we added that dealer option rear spoiler as well, which is just got that more aggressive angle to it. Gives it a bit of a sportier look. So we're excited to get out on the racetrack, see how much quicker it goes. I have no idea how much quicker it's going to go. If you watched episode 1, you'll know that it went at 133.2 around Toronto Motorsports Park here. And I'm hoping we break the 130 barrier, but there's only one way to find out, so I'm going to jump in that thing and go for a rip.
It's still quiet in here.
It's quiet, but it is a little bit sportier sounding.
That boom.
It's got that little bit of rumble to it, which is nice. But
exhaust, I think, has served its purpose.
It has. It's given just that little bit of sound.
So you can hear it there, yeah.
Yep, on decel you can hear it, and when you do a little heel and toe downshift, you get a bit of a burble, which is nice.
Which is what you want.
It's very subtle change, though, isn't it?
For sure it is, and I think that's part of having. I think there's a resonator. There's like 2 cats in the whole system.
Yeah.
So it's quite a lot going on.
There is, for sure.
If we wanted to make more sound, we could have straight piped it, but I thought that would kind of change the overall tone and
character of the car. Yeah.
To it too, so.
Yeah. No, I think as a true street car, I think what we did was actually really nice. I like how subtle it is. To live with this car daily with anything louder wouldn't be much fun, I don't think. And wow, it's got a lot sharper turn-in response.
No kidding, yeah.
Going to a wider tire with more grip and a stiffer sidewall, it's like turn-in response is really immediate. And we have put a little bit of toe out in the front as well. A little bit of a performance alignment.
Yeah.
And it does feel good.
Yeah, I'm really curious to see the lap times on this thing, man, because those Continentals work extremely well.
They do. I think the roll control, like the body motion roll control, seems much improved too with these RSR coilovers.
I'm having to grab the handle here. Soon I'm going to be going up here because the G's are noticeably different.
Yeah, and I'm just kind of cruising around right now. When we really let it rip, I think it's going to be quite a big difference. And obviously with the lower center of gravity, having lowered the car too, it should help it a little bit. And we've lowered it like semi-aggressively. Like it looks really nice, but I don't think we've thrown the suspension geometry too far out of whack. So I think it should feel very much at home on the racetrack with this setup. And we should mention we've turned the rear dampers up to like 30 positions out of a possible 36 to try to help the car rotate a bit in the corners, and got the front dampers right in the middle of the adjustability range. So
the suspension's absorbing the bumps exceptionally well. Man, I'm impressed with it. Like, this seems like it's going to be a very good street/track oriented suspension where it's leaning more towards the street because of the comfort, right?
I think so, yeah. It's definitely more of a comfort setup, and I guess maybe it's time to throw the lap timer in here and go for a rip.
Yeah, I think it is, DP.
All right, guys, rolling out onto TMP's road course here. It's a 11-turn former airport road course, so it's nice and flat, very safe, lots of big runoff areas. Really the only way you can get yourself in trouble here is the front wall if you were doing something crazy out of the last corner, but it's a great test track. We test here all the time. If you're a fan of our channel, you'll see that we're here all the time, and I've got my Racepack Vantage data acquisition system here plugged into the OBD2 port, plus it's got GPS, 20 hertz GPS, so I've got very accurate data on here, and being plugged into the OBD2 port means I've got RPM, even shows me fuel level, I got coolant temp, engine temps, all kinds of good stuff. So the main thing is, though, I've got my lap timer running here, so we'll see if we can go a fair bit quicker than we did when the car was 100% stock. Wow, even just on the warm-up lap, it's got a lot more grip, but you do feel that lack of a limited slip differential in the tighter corners where it really struggles to put the grip down. So if we were really wanting to build this thing as a track car, I think the next thing would be to look at a limited slip differential, wouldn't it? Here we go, across the line on our first hot lap, down the front straight, and wow, we definitely are carrying more speed because I was almost into the next gear there, where on the factory setup we weren't. So yeah, I'm having to shift earlier in turn 1 there too. I'm gonna have to really take a look at my shift points here. And these Hawk brakes definitely add a fair bit more stopping power, or at least stronger initial bite. Gives it a much more responsive feel on the brake pedal when you first go to the brakes. And yeah, the grip level is so much higher with these Contis. Handling balance is good. Really not struggling with any kind of understeer. And the grip level is so much higher on these tires, having to kind of rethink my strategy a bit here. Yeah, wow. Grip level's through the roof through that dogleg section, which is one of the faster corners on the track here. Oh, I heard a little tire rub there. We were bragging earlier about how these 255s aren't going to rub, and I think I did just rub a little on the wheel well liner there. Trying to use all the grip I can get out of these Contis, and they are hanging in there awfully well. There's no sign of any tire drop off at all. You can smell the brakes are starting to get a little bit grumpy. And these are, of course, just the HPS 5.0 pads. This is not a track pad. Hawk did offer to make us some dedicated track pads for the car, but we wanted to try a pad that was like realistically a street pad that could take some track duty. And I gotta say, so far they're hanging in there very well. But they are starting to smell a little grumpy, which tells me that we're overheating them a little bit, but they're not losing any bite yet, which is really quite impressive. All right, guys, that's 3 hot laps. We are done. And the news is good, everybody. The news is good. All right, everybody. You can see I did a best of a 1:29.7, just 3.5 seconds faster than we went when the car was bone stock. So a very sizable improvement. I'm pretty stoked on that. I think the car responded exceptionally well to those modifications, and the grip level was so much higher on those Continental tires. It really, even though it was the same tread wear rating as the all seasons the car comes on, having that wider tire, a true summer tire, a true performance tire, really does make a big, big difference. And the brakes stood up surprisingly well after 3 hard laps, even though the HPS 5.0s are really still just a high performance street pad. It's not really a track pad, but they did start to smell a little grumpy on the last lap, but they took a beating and pedal never got soft. They always had good bite. So impressed by the performance of the pads. The suspension was really good, but it does have more body roll than I was maybe anticipating. Pete and I are more accustomed to using more like race spec coilovers, and I would say that these RSRs are much more street oriented than they are track oriented. The car still corners flatter than it does stock, but there's still enough body roll there that the front de-weighted side of the car, that inside tire would lose a bit of grip, and then when it would come back down again, coming into the corners, I could feel like the front tires sort of fighting each other, locking up a little bit. So if the car had a limited slip differential, it would really help it put power down coming out of the quarters a lot better than it does, and that might be like the next logical step with this car if we were to try to make it more and more track focused. But I'm really happy with the way it performed today. I really couldn't ask for more. Just taking a quick look here on the Racepack D3 app, looking at our lateral or cornering G-forces there, and I can see we pulled 1.1 Gs in the corners, where prior on the stock tires, we pulled 0.98 G. So we picked up over 0.1 of G, which doesn't sound like a lot, but actually on that scale, that is a big improvement in G-force. There you go for a little data recap. I think maybe now it's time for Pete and I to jump in this thing and drive home and give you some street driving impressions, because really this is still very much a street car. All right, PT, we're cruising home now, and I should say that we've both spent some time driving this on the street now, and man, I gotta say I'm really impressed by the ride quality of these coilovers.
They're fantastic. Some of the best street coilovers I've actually ever ridden on. As you mentioned in a previous episode, I think they put the engineering into making sure that these are going to be compliant on the street, and man, they've really delivered.
They have. The amount of ride harshness that we've added is so low. I don't think we've ever modified a car before where the compromise is so subtle. Like, it's just driving down a country road like this, which isn't the smoothest road, there's just very little increase in NVH. Like, it's still so comfortable. I would say just the high speed bumps, like the really bad cracks, those are a little more jarring than before because we have higher spring rates.
Yeah, and we're on a lower profile tire, a little bit stiffer tire as well.
Point.
So
yeah, that definitely makes a difference.
There is that to add into the whole element, but as a whole, I'd say actually it's improved the ride for me. It's kind of gotten rid of a little bit of that mushiness, that vague feeling that you have with stock suspension, right?
Yeah, it's definitely added a level of like immediacy to the steering response. You feel more connected to the car now, and you know, to gain that for the small amount of loss of like NVH is, I think, a great trade-off for enthusiasts like us. I'll take this setup all day long. I really super impressed by how comfortable the car's remained.
And it's been a car that you can live with every day. Like, driving it to and from work has been, you know, you don't really notice the difference between it being stock and modified, other than the fact that you said just like little harshness in the high-speed bumps.
Yeah.
And that noise.
Yeah.
The sound in it is absolutely perfect. I think, you know, in the cabin, it's just a little bit more deeper, and I think before there was no noise from the exhaust, and now you have that. So I want to pat myself on the back for building a good exhaust system.
Yeah, you did a great job.
Vibrant for making a good, like, straight through muffler that works exceptionally well in this case, right? I mean, for us, I think we've built a great car that's good for daily use and that you can use at the racetrack. But why don't you guys tell us in the comments? You know, because obviously we're fans of this, but what do you guys think?
Yeah, should we have gone more extreme in certain areas? Would you have done things differently? By all means, let us know. And I think in the next episode we have something pretty cool to share with you guys too, where we're going to I don't want to spoil the surprise, PT. Let's just say the final episode is going to be very special, and you're going to get an independent opinion on the car. So it's not just us telling you what a great job we did. We'll find out what someone else really thinks. So stay tuned for that, everyone, and thank you very much for watching.